Oscar buzz is in already for American Fiction. Got to see it early? Let's find out my thoughts right now. All right, American Fiction. If you hadn't heard about it, you will now. But before we get into it, I am your host, Frank Zanca, an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, comic book writer, and working line producer. Recently moved to Georgia, Atlanta from Los Angeles. And you're probably wondering, Frank, what do you write that you won awards? Well, I've written a bunch of things, some of it behind me, Destiny Aurora, Tales of Ravenor, The Iron Witch. Plus, right now, we are on Kickstarter with my vampire mob set in 1950s, Lords of LA. So you're lucky enough to jump on this right now. I am signing them. You can actually get 1 and 2. You can get them digitally. You can get them printed, whatever you want. And this is, as I said, Vampire Mob set in 1950s with special appearances by Marilyn Monroe and Barbara Stanwyck and a whole bunch of other stuff. We have, it's more of an adult theme, so we have sex and gore and vampire action and all this stuff. And you can click the URL code. There's a description below that has the link in it. Or you can go right to Kickstarter, and Kickstarter.com that is, and type in Lords of LA. It'll come right up. And we only have a week left, so jump on that while you can. And anything that you can give to support is greatly appreciated. We've already fully funded, and we're about to unlock our first second stretch goal. So we're about to log the second one. We'll have maybe less than $500 left before we hit that. So jump in on it right now before time runs out. And now let's get talking about American Fiction. So I had never heard of this film. I saw a poster that really didn't interest me at all. The poster does not help the project in the least. But anyway, I get invited to some of these screenings from AMC with my A-list card. And, you know, it's for a pre-screen, but you don't know what it is. It's just called Unseen. So it's a crapshoot. And I did that with the last Taika Waititi film about the America Samoa soccer team, which was okay. I didn't think it was that great. It was okay. It was entertaining while I was there, but fleeting for sure. So I sat down for this film and wondering if I was even going to stay for it. So because it started out, and I like Jeffery Wright a lot. You know, I love him, and he was great in Hunger Games. And then I saw him on, of course, the Western. What was it? Westworld. I thought he was absolutely great in that. And he's just a good actor. And of course, he also played Felix Leiter. You know, we had a race swap Felix Leiter, but he did a good job. Nobody complained about that. And I just, he's one of the standouts in the James Bond thing. I thought he did an excellent job of embodying Felix Leiter. So, and here we go. Now I start out with him, and I'm like, okay, like him. But we start out with him teaching a class, and we're immediately going into race. So in the back of my head, I'm going, why do I have to have... Every time that there's a film with a black cast in it, why does it have to be about race? I mean, the last all-black cast I saw where we didn't have race is Black Panther. I mean, it's, everything doesn't have to be about race. So it was already starting to turn me off. I really wasn't interested. But then I realized that what they were doing was they were poking fun at the whole race thing and how it has permeated our society, and it's mostly white people that feel more about the racism thing than the black people do. So they start out with him teaching a class, and it's he's going on about this book that he wants everybody to read, and It's and the book has the word, since it takes place in the past, it has the N word throughout all of it, and he warns the class. And there's this one girl that's basically says, "You're offending me with that. You're offending me with that." And he says, "Look, if I can get over it, you can get over it." So he gets, he gets on sabbatical because he's just pissing people off, and then we find out that he's a writer, but he hasn't published anything in a very long time. And he's supposed to have some kind of a signing in Boston, which is also where his family is. So I'm not really going to go into spoilers here, but there's a few kind of things, a few plot points I want to go into. That because the plot pushes, it is a character-based film, but the plot pushes the characters along. So without the events that happen, the events happen to the characters rather than the characters making decisions about certain things. And then, of course, there are decisions that the characters make that also pushes it. So it's a kind of an amalgam of a character-based slash plot-driven film. So it's because the plot drives them and their decisions drive them. So it's a little bit of a push and pull throughout. They're a little bit out of control of the things that are happening to them, but at the same time, there's certain decisions that are made that also cause other things to happen. So what I also found very intriguing about this film and how it's written, so it's written by Cord Jefferson, who doesn't have a whole lot of writing stuff. He does, I think the biggest writing thing he has is, as far as amount of episodes, I think is a late night show type of thing. But he's also known for like 20-something episodes of The Good Place. And The Good Place is, nobody can fault that show. That show was a good show. I never thought it was going to be able to even continue on with plot. But they were able to find different ways to keep it interesting. And he's also known for the TV show version of Watchmen, which nobody liked. Nobody liked. So he's got a high and low type of thing going on. So here he comes with poking fun at the whole race thing and how our society deals with it, and it's told from a black person's point of view. But that's where the comedy portion is, because his mother has Alzheimer's. Okay, so who's in this film besides Jeffrey Wright is Tracy Ellis Ross, who basically has a very small part, but integral but small. And of course, she's from Blackish, and I think she's Diana Ross's family member to some degree. Erica Alexander, who was from Get Out. I think she played one of the cops from Get Out. Adam Brody, who is from Ready or Not, and he plays a Hollywood producer. I'm not sure he's a producer or a director. I think he's a producer, but I wasn't sure because he was on set and had his own chair and everything. Sterling K. Brown, great job in this. He really did a good job. He is the brother who is gay and is just coming out at this point. So he's kind of checking all the boxes here. So we have the race thing and we have the gay thing. So he's checking kind of all the boxes and how they affect and deal with society. That's basically what this is about. Keith David has a very, very tiny role. Very funny, but very tiny. And John Ortiz, who does amazing. I was trying to figure out where I knew him from the most, but he played one of the villains in Fast and the Furious. But he does a great job in here. I really enjoyed his character quite a bit. And he and Jeffrey Wright have a really good sense of camaraderie, and they feed off one another. So I like them together. I thought that they did really well together. But anyway, his mother has Alzheimer's, and if you know anything about me personally, you'll know that I took care of Nichelle Nichols, who's also behind me, who played the original Uhura in Star Trek, and she lived when I was in LA. She lived 15 minutes or so from me, and she was in the last performance that she did was in my pilot. That's actually starting to win some awards, and so she had Alzheimer's. So I really was able to connect with what he was going through and how the mother was acting, and how the mother acted, what they had her do when she went into the spells. I think they did a good job. Obviously, somebody in their family or whatever else, in the writer, the writer director is the same person. He knew somebody that had Alzheimer's because it was pretty close. Nichelle didn't bounce back. Like, his mom was lucid at certain times and then was not. Nichelle really never was, and because pretty much she would reset like every 15 minutes. She would ask me my name. So even if I told her my name, 15 minutes later she forgot it. So she didn't call me by other people's names. She didn't think I was someone else. She just couldn't remember. And where she was going through spells of back, flashbacks. So anyway, you had this comedic portion where Jeffrey Wright, since he hadn't really done anything in a while, and he saw all these other, especially one, Issa Rae's character had written a book that was very, very well received, but was written like trash, and it was written like urban. And he's like, you know what? I'll just, as a joke, I'm just going to write this book. So he tells his agent, who's John Ortiz, to just send it out as a joke. And it gets bought. And Miriam Shore is this publisher. She's playing basically the same exact character she did in Younger, if you've never seen Younger. But she plays almost exactly the same role, which is probably why they picked her up for that. So he did as a joke. He didn't want to sell it, but then the money was just too much, and he needed the money to take care of his mom. So he ends up taking this thing, but to do it, he has to play an urban character, a caricature of himself, because he's not supposed to be himself. So he wrote it under a pseudonym, and he told everybody that he was an ex-con. So so you have Jeffrey Wright, who's taking on this accent and playing it up, playing this ex-con and all this stuff, which he did a really good job at. So he plays everything extremely straight and lets the comedy just wash over him. Which is great. It's and then you have this comedy of him dealing with this other persona which he hates. Because he feels like that the black community is being pigeonholed by all of this stereotypical stuff going on. He's been trying to break out of that, and here he is contributing to it. It's funny as hell. Some of the lines that he comes up with and some of the things that he does. Then we get to see one scene where he's actually writing, and the characters are literally in front of him playing out the scene and talking to him simultaneously. That's all with Keith David. It's a very good scene. I laughed throughout almost all of it. And then we have the drama side of him dealing with his brother and with his own personal problems of not being able to connect, and the fact that his father was a suicide, and now the possible loss of his sister, and he's dealing with all this stuff, and now his mom being ill. He's dealing with all this stuff that he's been away from, and purposely away from, and now is being stuck with. So you have two completely different films that are interconnected. And I found that very interesting. So as a writer, he wrote this thing as a drama. And the A story is, I can't tell which is the A story, to tell you the truth. It's like an A and an A story? There's really no B. It's an A and an A story. both of them are equal, but one's a drama and one's a comedy. You would think that wouldn't be able to work, but somehow it does. And Issa Rae's character, she didn't play a comedic character in this at all, which is strange for her because she's a comedian. And her character is very small. Her part is very small but integral, because that's her character is what pushes his character around to make the decisions that he does. But anyway, yeah, it's very strange that you had these two completely polar opposite storylines. Because normally, if you have a dramedy, you have a drama that then has comedic elements to it. This is different because you have a drama storyline and you have a comedy storyline that are completely separated. It's not a drama that has comedic elements. It's a drama and a comedy, if that makes any sense. But somehow it worked, and it has a ton of heart. And it's showing the struggles of a normal person, which is what I like. So the actual struggles he has nothing to do with his race. And thank God, and everything else that has to do with race is the comedy side. And I think that's why it worked, is because we got to see him as a person rather than just a black man. So it's more of him being just going through the normal, everyday, here are my trials and tribulations of dealing with my family elements. And I think that's what really worked. And, the connection with him and his brother, and, he tries to date, and because of what happened, I think what happened with his father, and he thinks he's too close to being his father. So he pushes people away. So we get to see, again, it's all these little elements that make him human as just a regular person, regardless of what skin color. And I really prefer those types of stories rather than, making the character just what he is on the outside. It's what he is on the inside. And we get to really see that here. So I think the writing is very good. I think the performances are over the top. I think they're not over the top where it's bad, but over the top where they really push themselves to embody a character. And I think it all just really worked. And I was pleasantly surprised, and I found myself wondering how it was going to end. And the ending satisfying? Yes and no. Yes and no. We get to see him achieve what he wants, but at the same time we don't get to see him achieve the personal things that we would want to see him achieve. When you see it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But anyway, on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm going to give this thing an 8.5. I really enjoyed it. So I definitely give it a suggestion for going to see it. Because it's enjoyable on two different levels. It's enjoyable from the entertainment side, and it's enjoyable from a logical side as well, where we get to see a deconstruction of a character. So, well, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys watching it all the way through and helping me grow the channel. So remember to like and subscribe. And if you can, jump into Lords of LA, issues 1 and 2. I greatly appreciate it. Again, the QR code is, it's there. And the link below if you need that, or just go to Kickstarter.com. Thank you very much, guys, and happy holidays. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, and thank you again so much for your patronage. All right, thanks, guys. All right, bye-bye.